My name is Claire Rodriguez, and this is the continuation of the story of how I fell in love with Dr. Raven Sterling, the billionaire doctor they called the Ice Queen. If you're just joining us, here's what you need to know. 6 months ago, I was dying in the Chicago snow. Raven found me, saved my life, and brought me to her private clinic. I couldn't pay the medical bill, so I started working there to pay off my debt. What I didn't expect was that the woman who had rejected every person who ever tried to love her would start to fall for me. And I fell for her too. Recently, in a quiet records room late at night, Raven confessed her feelings. She told me she was falling for me. I told her I felt the same. We chose each other, despite our different worlds, despite everything that said it was impossible. But choosing each other was just the beginning. Because love isn't just about the moment you say, I love you. It's about what happens after, when the world finds out, when people judge, when everything gets harder. This is that part of our story. The part where we had to fight for what we found. The morning after our confession in the records room, I woke up with a smile on my face for the first time in months. Sunlight streamed through the window of my tiny apartment, and even though the room was cold and my blankets were thin, I felt warm inside. Warm in a way that had nothing to do with temperature and everything to do with the memory of Raven's arms around me, her voice whispering that she was falling for me. Dr. Raven Sterling, no, just Raven now, was falling for me. I hugged my pillow and let myself feel it. The joy, the disbelief, the terrifying, wonderful reality that the woman who had rejected everyone had chosen me. My phone buzzed on the nightstand. A text message lit up the screen. Raven, good morning. I hope you slept well. I didn't. My heart fluttered. She was texting me. Raven Sterling was texting me like we were together. Like this was real. I typed back quickly. Me, good morning. Why didn't you sleep? Are you okay? 3 dots appeared immediately. She was typing. Raven, I kept thinking about you. About last night. About how I want to tell the world, but I'm terrified of what that means for you. I sat up in bed, my smile fading slightly. The world. I hadn't thought that far ahead yet. Last night had been just us. Alone in that quiet room. But Raven was right eventually. People would know. People would talk. Me. We'll figure it out together. Remember? That's what you said. Raven. Together. I like that word. Meet me for breakfast before your shift? My place? My eyes widened. Her place? I'd never been to Raven's apartment. I knew she lived in one of those luxury penthouses downtown. The kind of place I'd only seen in magazines. Me. Are you sure? Raven. I've never been more sure of anything. I'll send a car for you. 30 minutes. 30 minutes later, I stood in front of a towering glass building in downtown Chicago, feeling completely out of place in my worn jeans and the gray coat Raven had given me weeks ago. A doorman in a pristine uniform greeted me. Miss Claire? Dr. Sterling is expecting you. Please, take the private elevator to the penthouse. Private elevator. Of course she had a private elevator. I stepped inside, and the doors closed silently behind me. The elevator rose smoothly, and I watched through the glass walls as the city fell away beneath me. Chicago spread out in every direction. Buildings, streets, the lake in the distance. This was Raven's world. So far above mine it felt like a different planet. The elevator opened directly into her apartment, and I gasped. Floor-to-ceiling windows wrapped around the entire space, offering a 360-degree view of the city. Everything was sleek, modern, expensive white marble floors, designer furniture, artwork that probably cost more than my entire education. But what struck me most was how cold it felt. Beautiful, yes. Perfect, absolutely. But empty. Like a showroom instead of a home? Claire. I turned to find Raven walking toward me from what looked like the kitchen. She wasn't wearing her doctor's coat. Instead, she wore simple black pants and a soft cream sweater that made her look younger, more approachable. Her dark hair fell loose around her shoulders instead of pulled back in its usual severe style. She looked beautiful and nervous. Hi, I said softly. Hi. She stopped a few feet away, as if unsure whether she could touch me here, in the daylight, in her home. You came. Of course I came. I took a step closer. Did you think I wouldn't? I wasn't sure if last night, if you might have regrets in the morning. My heart ached at the vulnerability in her voice. This powerful, confident woman was afraid I'd changed my mind. I closed the distance between us and took her hand. No regrets, Raven. Not even one. Her shoulders relaxed, and she squeezed my hand gently. Good, because I made breakfast, and I'm not much of a cook, so if you didn't show up, I'd have to face the fact that I burned eggs for nothing. I laughed, and just like that, the The tension broke. She led me to a dining area near the windows where she'd set out a simple breakfast: scrambled eggs, toast, coffee, fruit. "You cooked for me?" I asked, touched. "Don't sound so surprised." She pulled out a chair for me. "I'm capable of basic survival skills. No one's ever cooked for me before. Not since I left home." Something shifted in her expression. She sat down across from me, and I saw that look again, the one that said she wanted to take care of me, protect me, give me everything I'd been missing. "Tell me about home," she said quietly. "Your family. Why you came here alone." So as we ate breakfast with Chicago spreading out beneath us, I told her about my mother who'd worked 3 jobs to help pay for my education, about my father who died when I was young, about leaving everything I knew to chase a dream in America, believing that education was the key to a better life. "My mother cried when I left," I said, my voice thick. "She told me she was proud but also terrified." She said, "The world is not always kind to girls like us." She meant poor girls. Girls with nothing but dreams. Raven reached across the table and took my hand. "Your mother sounds like a wise woman, and incredibly strong to raise someone like you." "Like me? Brave, resilient, refusing to give up no matter what life throws at you." Her thumb traced circles on my palm. "I want to meet her someday. I want to tell her that her daughter is extraordinary." Tears stung my eyes. "She'd like you. She always told me to find someone who sees my worth, not my circumstances. Then she'd approve of us." "I think so." I smiled through my tears. "She always said love doesn't look at bank accounts or social status. It looks at hearts." Raven was quiet for a moment, her eyes searching mine. Then she said, "Claire, I need to tell you something. About why I've been so afraid." I squeezed her hand encouragingly. "My mother." She paused, seeming to gather her thoughts. "My mother is Victoria Sterling. You might have heard of her. She owns Sterling Industries, one of the largest pharmaceutical companies in the country. My father died when I was young, and she raised me alone. She taught me that love was a distraction, that emotions made you weak, that the only things that mattered were power, success, and the family name." I listened quietly, beginning to understand. "She has expectations," Raven continued, "about who I should be with, what kind of partner would benefit the family. She's introduced me to countless women over the years: Harrises, politicians' daughters, women from appropriate families." Her voice dripped with bitterness. "I rejected them all, which she tolerated as long as I didn't choose anyone at all. But you." "I'm not from an appropriate family," I finished softly. "You're perfect," she said fiercely. "But to her, you'll be a threat. A poor foreign student with no connections, no money, no name. She'll think you're using me. She'll do everything she can to end this." My stomach knotted with anxiety. "And what do you think?" "I think she can go to hell." Raven's eyes blazed. "I'm 32 years old. I've built my own empire. I've saved thousands of lives. And for the first time, I've found someone who makes me want to live instead of just exist. She doesn't get to take that away from me." "From us," I corrected gently. "From us," she agreed, her expression softening. "But Claire, I need you to understand what you're walking into. My mother is formidable. The media will be interested in my personal life. People will judge you, investigate you, say horrible things. Are you ready for that?" I thought about it honestly. Was I ready? Could I handle being thrust into Raven's world of wealth and scrutiny? Then I looked at her face, at the woman who had saved my life, who had defended me, who had broken down her own walls to let me in, and I knew my answer. "I didn't come to America because I was looking for an easy life," I said. "I came because I was willing to fight for what I wanted. And Raven, I want this. I want you. So yes, I'm ready. We'll face whatever comes together." She stood up and came around the table, pulling me to my feet and into her arms. "How did I get so lucky?" She whispered against my hair. "I think I'm the lucky one," I whispered back. We stood there by the windows, holding each other as the morning sun painted Chicago gold, neither of us knowing that our peaceful moment was about to be shattered. It happened 3 days later. I was at the clinic, organizing patient files in the records room, when Jessica burst in with her phone in her hand. Her expression was a mixture of shock and something that looked almost like vindication. "So it's true," she said without preamble. I looked up, confused. "What's true?" "You and Dr. Sterling." She held up her phone, and I felt my blood turn to ice. On the screen was a photo. A photo of Raven and me walking out of the clinic together 3 nights ago, her hand in mine, both of us smiling at each other. The headline read, Chicago's Ice Queen Dr. Melts. Billionaire Raven Sterling spotted with mystery woman. My hands started shaking. Where did you get that? It's everywhere, Jessica said. And I couldn't tell if she was sympathetic or satisfied. Every gossip site, social media, the business news. Everyone's trying to figure out who you are. I grabbed my own phone and searched Raven's name. Jessica was right. The photo was everywhere, accompanied by speculation, theories, and increasingly intrusive questions about my identity. Who is the mystery blonde? Raven Sterling's secret girlfriend. What we know. Is Chicago's most eligible billionaire off the market? My vision blurred. This was happening too fast. We'd barely had 3 days of peace, 3 days of stolen moments and private happiness, and now the entire world was watching. Dr. Sterling is requesting your presence in her office, Jessica said, her voice gentler now. Immediately, I practically ran through the hallways, ignoring the stares and whispers that followed me. Everyone knew now. Every single person in this building had seen those headlines. I burst into Raven's office without knocking. She was standing by the window, her phone pressed to her ear, her expression thunderous. When she saw me, she said curtly into the phone, I have to go, and hung up. Claire. She crossed the room in 3 strides and pulled me into her arms. Are you okay? I saw the headlines, I said against her shoulder. Everyone knows. Everyone is talking about us. Let them talk. Her voice was hard. I don't care. But my voice cracked. They're trying to find out who I am. What if they discover I'm just a student working to pay off a medical bill? What if they think I'm using me? She finished. Let them think whatever they want. I know the truth. You know the truth. That's all that matters. I pulled back to look at her face. Who were you talking to on the phone? Her jaw tightened. My mother. She saw the headlines. She's not pleased. What did she say? Things I won't repeat to you because they'll only hurt you. Raven's eyes flashed with anger. But the summary is that she wants to meet you. Tomorrow. At her estate. My stomach dropped. Tomorrow? She's demanding it. Apparently, she needs to assess the situation before it becomes more of a public relations nightmare. Raven's voice dripped with sarcasm. Maybe we should wait, I said nervously. Give her time to calm down. No. Raven's voice was firm. We're not hiding. We're not ashamed. We face this head on. Together. She cupped my face in her hands. Claire, look at me. Are you with me? I looked into her eyes and saw the same determination that had pulled me back from death in the snow, the same fierce protection that had defended me in front of her staff, the same vulnerability that had confessed her feelings in a quiet records room. I'm with you, I said. Always. Then tomorrow, we go meet my mother. And we show her exactly what we're made of. The Sterling estate was not a house, it was a monument to wealth and power. As Raven's car pulled through the iron gates and up the tree-lined driveway, I stared at the massive mansion ahead of us. White stone, columns, perfectly manicured gardens. It looked like something from a period drama, not real life. It's impressive, isn't it? Raven said dryly. My mother believes in making statements. I feel like I'm about to meet the Queen of England, I admitted. Raven squeezed my hand. You're about to meet a stubborn woman who thinks she can control my life. But Claire, remember this. She only has as much power as we give her. We're here out of respect, not submission. I nodded, trying to draw strength from her confidence even though my stomach was in knots. A butler opened the car door for us, and we walked up the marble steps together. The front door opened before we could knock, revealing an older woman in a perfectly tailored suit. This had to be Victoria Sterling. She was in her early 60s, with steel gray hair styled immaculately, sharp features that reminded me eerily of Raven's, and eyes that assessed me in one sweeping glance. I felt like I'd been X-rayed and found lacking. Raven, she said coolly. You're on time. That's something. Mother. Raven's voice was equally cool. This is Claire. Claire, my mother, Victoria Sterling. I extended my hand. Mrs. Sterling, it's an honor to meet you. She looked at my hand for a long moment before taking it briefly. Her grip was cold and perfunctory. Come inside. We have much to discuss. She led us through a palatial entrance hall into a sitting room that looked like it belonged in a museum. Everything was antique, expensive, and arranged just so. Not a single item out of place. Sit, Victoria commanded, gesturing to a sofa. Raven and I sat together. She kept my hand in hers, a silent statement that we were a united front. Victoria took a chair across from us, crossing her legs elegantly. So, she began, her eyes fixed on me. You're the young woman who has captured my daughter's attention. Yes, ma'am, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. Tell me about yourself. Where are you from? I'm from the Philippines originally. I came to America 3 years ago to study. On a student visa, she interrupted. Yes, I'm aware. I've had my people look into you, Claire. What was your last name again? My cheeks burned. She'd investigated me. Of course she had. Rodriguez, I said quietly. Rodriguez? She repeated, as if tasting the name and finding it distasteful. Claire Rodriguez. No family connections. No wealth. Working 2 jobs to pay for school. Currently employed at my daughter's clinic to pay off a medical debt. She paused. Tell me, Miss Rodriguez, what exactly do you hope to gain from this relationship? Mother, Raven started, her voice dangerous. I'm asking a legitimate question, Victoria said coldly. You can't blame me for being protective. Raven is worth billions. She's a public figure, and suddenly she's photographed holding hands with a nobody who works for her? You can see how this looks. The word nobody hit me like a slap. I felt small, insignificant, exactly as out of place as I'd feared. But then Raven stood up, pulling me to my feet beside her. That's enough, she said, her voice cutting like ice. Claire is not a nobody. She's the woman I'm in love with. And if you cannot treat her with respect, we're leaving. Victoria's eyes widened slightly. It was clear she wasn't used to her daughter defying her. In love? She repeated. Raven. You've known this girl for what? 2 months? You don't fall in love in 2 months. You're infatuated. You'll get over it. I'm 32 years old, Raven said, each word precise and controlled. I've rejected every person you've ever pushed at me. I've built an empire of my own. I've earned the right to make my own choices. And I choose Claire. She's using you, Victoria said flatly. Can't you see that? A poor foreign student suddenly attached to one of the richest women in Chicago? It's textbook gold digging. That was it. That was the breaking point. With all due respect, Mrs. Sterling, I said, my voice shaking but clear. You don't know me. You don't know what I've been through, or what I want from life. Yes, I'm poor. Yes, I work multiple jobs. Yes, I have nothing compared to your world. But I never asked your daughter for anything except the chance to work off my debt with dignity. Victoria's eyes narrowed, but I continued. When she found me dying in the snow, I didn't know who she was. I didn't know she was a billionaire, or that she owned half of Chicago. I just knew she saved my life. And when I started working at her clinic, I didn't pursue her. I kept my head down and did my job, even when people like you looked at me like I was dirt. Raven's hand tightened around mine, supporting me. Your daughter fell for me despite the fact that I have nothing, I said, tears stinging my eyes. Despite the fact that I make her life more complicated. Despite the fact that loving me means dealing with people like you who will judge and insult me. So forgive me if I don't appreciate being called a gold digger when the only gold I've ever wanted was a chance to build a decent life through hard work. Silence filled the room. Victoria stared at me, her expression unreadable. Raven looked at me with something like awe. Finally, Victoria spoke. You have spirit. I'll give you that. Is that all you'll give us? Raven asked coldly. Because if so, we're done here. Sit down, both of you, Victoria said, her tone slightly less hostile. Please. Raven looked at me questioningly. I nodded slightly, and we sat back down. Though Raven kept herself positioned protectively between me and her mother, Victoria was quiet for a long moment, studying us. Then she sighed, and for the first time, she looked tired, rather than imperious. My husband died when Raven was 8, she said quietly. He left me with a company to run, a daughter to raise, and a world of sharks waiting to tear us apart. I taught Raven to be strong because I had to be strong. I taught her that love was dangerous because I watched love destroy my friends, my colleagues, people who let their hearts rule their heads. She looked at Raven with something softer in her eyes. I wanted to protect you, from pain, from betrayal, from making choices that would hurt you. But in doing that, Raven said softly, you taught me to protect myself so well that I almost forgot how to live. Victoria nodded slowly. Perhaps I did. She turned her gaze back to me. Miss Rodriguez Claire, I apologize for calling you a nobody. That was cruel and beneath me. But you must understand, I've seen countless people try to use my daughter for her money, her connections, her name. It's made me skeptical. I understand, I said carefully. But I'm not one of those people. So you say, she leaned back in her chair. Prove it. How? I asked, confused. Stay with her through what's coming. The media attention, the scrutiny, the social pressure, the people who will say terrible things about you. If you love my daughter, really love her, you'll survive it. If you're here for other reasons, you'll leave the moment it becomes too difficult. Mother, that's not fair, Raven started. Life isn't fair, Victoria said bluntly. And being with you, Raven, comes with challenges. If Claire loves you, she needs to be strong enough to face them. I looked at Raven's mother and saw something I hadn't expected. Underneath the coldness and the judgment, there was genuine concern for her daughter. Misguided. Perhaps. Harsh. Definitely, but real. Mrs. Sterling, I said quietly, I don't have to prove anything to you. But I will prove something to Raven every single day, that she was right to choose me, that I'm strong enough for this. That love isn't weakness, it's the greatest strength either of us has ever known. Something flickered in Victoria's eyes. Respect, maybe, or at least acknowledgement. We'll see, she said finally. Time will tell, Miss Rodriguez. Time will tell. We left the Sterling estate an hour later, after a tense lunch where Victoria grilled me about my education, my plans, my family. It was exhausting, but I held my ground. In the car, Raven pulled me close. You were incredible, she whispered. The way you stood up to her. Claire. I've never seen anyone do that. She loves you, I said. In her own complicated way, she's just scared of losing you. How can you be so understanding after what she said to you? Because I know what it's like to be afraid, I said simply. Fear makes people do cruel things. But underneath, I could see she just wants you to be happy. Raven kissed my forehead. You're a better person than I am. I'm just a person who loves you, I said. And I meant what I said. I'm not going anywhere. But as we drove back through the city, I couldn't shake the feeling that Victoria's words had been more than just a warning. They'd been a prophecy. The real test was still to come. The next morning, I woke up to my phone exploding with notifications. Bleary-eyed, I checked the screen and felt my heart stop. Breaking. Raven Sterling's mystery woman identified. Claire Rodriguez. From medical debt to billionaire's girlfriend. Is this love or a gold-digging scheme? Inside the Sterling romance, they'd found me. Every detail of my life was now public. My student status. My debt. My jobs. Even photos of my tiny apartment, somehow obtained by reporters who tracked me down. The comments were vicious. She's obviously using her for money. A foreign student working off debt? Yeah, right. She trapped her. Dr. Sterling could do so much better. Gold digger alert. Tears streamed down my face as I scrolled through post after post, article after article, all of them dissecting my life and finding me guilty of crimes I hadn't committed. My phone rang. Raven, don't read the comments, she said immediately. Claire, please tell me you're not reading the comments. It's too late, I whispered. Raven, they hate me. Everyone hates me. I don't hate you. That's all that matters. But they're saying such horrible things. They don't know you, she said fiercely. They don't know us. Claire, where are you? I'm coming to get you. I'm at home, but Raven, there are reporters outside my building. They've been knocking on my door since 6 a.m. asking for comments. I heard her swear under her breath. Stay inside. Lock your door. I'm sending security to get you. You're moving in with me. What? You heard me. You're not safe there anymore. Not with reporters harassing you. Pack a bag. My security team will be there in 20 minutes. Raven, I can't just move in with you. Why not? Her voice softened. Claire, we're in this together. Remember? My home is your home. Let me protect you. Please. I looked around my tiny apartment, the place I'd struggled so hard to afford, my little refuge in this big city. But she was right. I couldn't stay here, not with cameras waiting outside. Okay, I whispered. 20 minutes. I love you, she said. And hearing those words gave me strength. I love you too. After I hung up, I sat on my bed and let myself cry for a few minutes. This was so much harder than I'd imagined. The judgment, the scrutiny, the feeling of being torn apart by strangers who decided I was guilty without ever meeting me. But then I thought of Raven's face when she'd confessed her feelings. The way she'd held me. The way she'd stood up to her mother for me. This love was worth fighting for. So I wiped my tears, packed my bag, and prepared to face whatever came next. Together. Moving into Raven's penthouse felt surreal. My entire life fit into 2 suitcases and a backpack. Everything I owned, my clothes, my books, my few precious belongings, looked almost comical in the massive walk-in closet Raven had cleared for me. My worn sneakers sat next to her designer heels. My threadbare sweaters hung beside her tailored blazers. 2 worlds colliding. "You're quiet," Raven said, appearing in the doorway of the closet. She'd changed out of her work clothes into soft loungewear, her hair down, looking more relaxed than I'd ever seen her. "I'm just adjusting," I admitted. "This morning I woke up in a room the size of your bathroom. Now I'm living in a penthouse that could fit 50 of my old apartments." She walked over and wrapped her arms around me from behind, resting her chin on my shoulder. "Does it bother you? The difference between us?" "Sometimes," I said honestly. "Not because I want your money, but because it reminds me how different our worlds are. I look at this closet and think about how my mother would react. She's never seen anything like this. She's worked her entire life and will never have a fraction of what you have." "Then let's change that," Raven said simply. I turned in her arms to face her. "What do you mean?" "Your mother. How much does she make in a year?" I hesitated, embarrassed. "Raven, I'm not asking you for. I know you're not. I'm offering. How much? Maybe $8,000? On a good year." Raven pulled out her phone without hesitation. "What's her bank account information?" "Raven, no. Claire." She looked at me seriously. "You're mine now. That means your family is my family. Your mother worked multiple jobs to give you opportunities. Let me give her something back. Not as charity, but as gratitude for raising the woman I love." Tears filled my eyes. "She'll think I'm using you. Then we'll call her together and explain. But Claire, I have more money than I could spend in 10 lifetimes. Let me use it for something that actually matters. Please." I thought about my mother's worn hands, her tired face the last time I'd video called her, about how she always insisted she was fine even when I knew she was struggling. "Okay," I whispered. "But we tell her together. I want her to know this comes from both of us." Raven smiled and kissed my forehead. "Together, always." That night, we called my mother. It was early morning in the Philippines, and when her face appeared on the screen, I saw her squinting at the camera from her tiny kitchen. "Claire, my darling, it's so early. Is everything okay?" "Everything's fine, Mama. I have someone I want you to meet." I turned the phone so Raven was in frame beside me. My mother's eyes widened. "Mama, this is Raven Sterling. She's my girlfriend." Silence. My mother stared at the screen, her expression unreadable. Then, slowly, she smiled. "So this is the doctor who saved your life," she said in her accented English. "The one you've been telling me about in every call for 2 months." My cheeks flushed. "Mama, what? You think I don't know my own daughter's voice when she's in love?" She leaned closer to the screen. "Dr. Sterling, it's an honor to meet you. My Claire tells me you're a brilliant doctor, that you've saved many lives." "Mrs. Rodriguez," Raven said warmly, "the honor is mine. Your daughter is the most remarkable person I've ever met. You raised an incredible woman." My mother's eyes glistened. "She is my heart, but Dr. Sterling, I must ask. I see the news. I see what they say about my Claire. That she's using you for money. This worries me." "Mama," I started, but Raven squeezed my hand. "Mrs. Rodriguez, I understand your concern. But I want you to know something. Claire has never asked me for anything. Not once. In fact, she works harder than anyone I know, trying to pay back a debt she doesn't even owe anymore. She has more integrity in her little finger than most people have in their entire bodies." "You love her," my mother said. It wasn't a question. "With all my heart," Raven said simply. My mother nodded slowly. "Then you are welcome in our family. But Dr. Sterling, Raven, you must promise me something. Anything. Promise me you'll protect her heart. My Claire, she's strong, but she's also tender. The world has not always been kind to her. Don't let them break her spirit." "I promise," Raven said, her voice thick with emotion. "I'll protect her with everything I have." "Good." My mother wiped her eyes. "Now, Claire, tell me why you're both looking at me like you have something important to say." We told her about Raven's gift. At first, my mother refused, insisting she didn't need charity. But Raven gently explained that it wasn't charity. It was family, taking care of family. "Let me ease your burden," Raven said softly. "The way you eased Claire's by giving her the chance to chase her dreams. You gave me the greatest gift by raising her." This is just a small thank you. By the end of the call, my mother was crying, and so was I. After we hung up, I buried my face in Raven's shoulder. Thank you, I whispered, for seeing her, for understanding what she means to me. Thank you for sharing her with me, Raven whispered back, for letting me be part of your family. For the first time since the headlines broke, I felt like maybe, just maybe, we could survive this. But the world wasn't done testing us. The next week, I returned to the clinic for my shift. Raven had suggested I take time off, but I refused. I wasn't going to hide. The moment I walked through the doors, I felt the stares. Whispers followed me down every hallway. Some people looked at me with curiosity, others with judgment, and a few with what looked like pity. I held my head high and went to work. Jessica found me in the supply room an hour later. I braced myself for more cruel comments, but to my surprise, her expression was complicated. Claire, she said, can we talk? If you're here to tell me I don't belong. I'm here to apologize, she interrupted. I blinked. What? Jessica sighed. I've been terrible to you since the day you arrived. I judged you. I made assumptions. I treated you like you were beneath me. She looked down at her hands. The truth is, I was jealous. Jealous? Of how hard you worked. How kind you were to patients even when you were exhausted. How you never complained or made excuses. She met my eyes. And yes, jealous that Dr. Sterling noticed you when she'd never noticed any of us. I wanted to believe you were using her because it was easier than accepting that maybe you just deserved her attention. I didn't know what to say. I'm sorry, Jessica continued. I'm sorry for every cruel word, every cold look, every moment I made you feel unwelcome. You didn't deserve that. Thank you, I said quietly. That means more than you know. She nodded. For what it's worth, I've seen the way Dr. Sterling looks at you. That's not someone being used. That's someone in love. After she left, I stood in the supply room for a long moment, overwhelmed. Maybe not everyone was against us. Maybe some people could see the truth. But not everyone was so kind. 2 weeks after moving in with Raven, I was leaving my university after an evening class when I was ambushed by reporters. Claire Rodriguez! Can you comment on your relationship with Dr. Sterling? Is it true you're living together? How does it feel to go from poverty to a penthouse? Are you planning to marry her for her money? Cameras flashed in my face. Microphones were shoved toward me. I felt trapped, surrounded, unable to breathe. Please, I said, trying to push through. I have no comment. Please let me through. Just one question. Claire, do you love her or her money? Something inside me snapped. I stopped walking and turned to face the reporters. My heart was pounding, but I was done being silent. You want to know if I love her? I said, my voice shaking but clear. Yes, I love Raven Sterling with everything I am. Not because she's rich, not because she's powerful, but because she's kind and brilliant and has the biggest heart of anyone I've ever met. The cameras kept rolling. I kept talking. You all want to paint me as a gold digger, as someone using her. But none of you know our story. None of you were there when I was dying in the snow, and she saved my life. None of you saw her defend me when I was being judged and mocked. None of you understand what it's like to meet someone who sees you, really sees you for who you are, not what you have or don't have. My voice grew stronger. I know what you all think of me. Poor foreign student, working off a debt, living in her penthouse. It looks bad. I get it. But I don't owe you an explanation. I don't owe anyone proof of my love. The only person I need to prove anything to is Raven, and she already knows my heart. I took a breath. So yes, I love her. And if that makes me a gold digger in your eyes, then you've never experienced real love. Because real love isn't about bank accounts or social status. It's about finding someone who makes you want to be better. Someone who challenges you and supports you and sees your worth when the whole world says you're worthless. I looked directly into the nearest camera. Raven Sterling is the best thing that ever happened to me, and I'm going to love her whether you approve or not. Now please, leave me alone. I pushed through the crowd and didn't look back. By the time I got home, because Raven's penthouse was home now, the video of my speech had gone viral. Millions of views, thousands of comments. And this time, the tide was turning. She spoke from the heart. That's not someone faking it. Okay, I was wrong about her. That was real emotion. If someone looked at me the way she talks about Dr. Sterling, I'd be the happiest person alive. Maybe we all judged too quickly. Of course, there were still haters. There would always be haters. But something had shifted. My refusal to back down, my public declaration of love, it had changed the narrative. Raven came home to find me curled up on the couch, emotionally exhausted. She sat beside me and pulled me into her arms. "I saw the video," she said softly. "Claire, you didn't have to do that." "Yes, I did," I said. I was tired of being silent, tired of letting other people define us. "You were magnificent." She kissed the top of my head. "Brave and fierce and completely magnificent. Are you upset? I didn't ask you before." "Upset?" She pulled back to look at me. "Claire, I'm in awe of you. You faced down cameras and reporters and declared your love for me in front of the entire world. Do you know how incredible that is? I just told the truth. That's what makes it so powerful." She cupped my face in her hands. "You're changing minds, Claire. Changing hearts, showing people that love isn't about circumstances, it's about connection." "Your mother is probably furious," I said. "My mother called me an hour ago," Raven said with a small smile. She said, and I quote, "That girl has more spine than anyone I've ever met. Don't let her go." My eyes widened. "She said that? She's coming around, slowly. But Claire, you're winning her over just by being yourself, by refusing to be anything other than authentic." I leaned against her, feeling the weight of the past weeks finally lifting. "Is it always going to be this hard?" "Maybe sometimes," she said honestly. "But it'll get easier. And Claire, even on the hardest days, I want you to remember something." "What?" "You're not facing this alone. Every challenge, every judgment, every battle, we face it together. That's what makes us strong." "Together," I repeated, the word feeling like a promise. "Always." Over the weeks that followed, the storm gradually calmed. My viral speech had changed the narrative. More people defended us than attacked us. Slowly, painfully, but surely, we were winning. 3 months later, Raven and I attended our first public event together, a charity gala for medical research. I wore a dress Raven had insisted on buying for me. A simple but elegant navy blue gown that made me feel like I belonged in her world for the first time. She wore a sharp black tuxedo that took my breath away. As we walked into the ballroom together, I felt the stares. But this time, they didn't feel as hostile. Some were curious, some approving, some still judgmental. But I didn't care anymore. Let them look, let them judge. I was here with the woman I loved, and that was all that mattered. Victoria Sterling was already there, holding court with other wealthy donors. When she saw us, she excused herself and walked over. "Claire," she said formally, "you look lovely." "Thank you, Mrs. Sterling." She studied me for a moment, then said, "I watched your speech, the one you gave to the reporters." My heart sank. "Here it comes." "It was impressive," she continued. "You have a strength I didn't recognize at first. A dignity that can't be bought or taught. It reminded me of myself when I was younger, before the world hardened me." I stared at her, shocked. "I was wrong about you," Victoria said quietly. "Or rather, I was too quick to judge. My daughter is lucky to have you. And I hope you can forgive an old woman for being foolish." "Mrs. Sterling?" "Victoria," she corrected. "If you're family, you should call me Victoria." Tears stung my eyes. Raven squeezed my hand, her own eyes suspiciously bright. "Thank you, Victoria," I said. "That means everything to me." She nodded. Then did something that surprised all of us. She hugged me. It was brief and slightly awkward, but it was real. "Take care of my daughter," she whispered. "She's loved you in ways I didn't think she was capable of." "I will," I whispered back. "I promise." When she pulled away, there was something softer in her eyes. Acceptance, maybe even affection. As she walked away, Raven pulled me close. "You did it," she murmured. "You won her over." "We did it," I corrected. "Together." The rest of the evening was magical. We danced, we talked with guests. We stood side by side as Raven gave a speech about the importance of accessible healthcare. When she finished, she reached for my hand, and I joined her on stage. "Before I close," Raven said, her voice carrying through the ballroom, "I want to introduce you all to someone very important to me. This is Claire Rodriguez, and she's the reason I understand what I'm fighting for when I talk about accessible healthcare." The audience applauded politely, and I felt my cheeks flush. "Claire came to this country with dreams and determination," Raven continued. "She worked multiple jobs, sacrificed everything, and nearly died trying to build a better life. Our healthcare system almost failed her, but she survived. And she's taught me that medicine isn't just about skill or technology, it's about compassion, about seeing the person behind the patient." She turned to look at me, her eyes full of love. "She's also taught me that love isn't weakness. It's the greatest strength we have." So tonight, as we raise money for medical research, I want us to remember who we're doing this for. People like Claire. People who deserve a chance. People who deserve to be seen. The applause was thunderous now. People were standing, and I realized with wonder that they weren't just applauding Raven, they were applauding us. 6 months after that snowy night when Raven found me dying, we stood on the balcony of the penthouse, watching the city lights sparkle below. So much had changed. I'd finished my semester with top grades. The clinic staff treated me with respect now, some even with friendship. The media attention had died down to occasional mentions, most of them positive. Victoria Sterling had invited me to family dinners and was slowly, awkwardly, trying to build a relationship with me. And Raven? Raven had softened in ways I never expected. She laughed more now, smiled more freely, let her guard down with her staff and showed vulnerability with her patients. She'd even started a scholarship program for international students in financial need, naming it the Claire Rodriguez Foundation. I can't let you name it after me, I'd protested when she told me. Why not? You're my inspiration, she'd said simply. Now, as we stood together in the cold Chicago night, I felt her arms wrap around me from behind. What are you thinking about? She asked. About how different my life is now, I said. 6 months ago, I was alone, struggling, convinced I was going to die in the snow. Now I'm here with you, and everything has changed. Are you happy? She asked quietly, and I heard the vulnerability in her voice. I turned in her arms to face her. Raven Sterling, I am happier than I ever dreamed possible. She smiled, but there was something nervous in her expression. Good, because I have something to ask you. Before I could respond, she was pulling a small box from her pocket. My heart stopped. Claire, she said, her voice shaking slightly. I know this is fast. I know we've only been together for 6 months. But I've never been more certain of anything in my life. She opened the box, revealing a simple but beautiful ring, a single diamond on a platinum band. I don't want to wait, she continued. I don't want to wonder or doubt or play it safe. I want to wake up every morning knowing you're mine. I want to build a life with you. Face every challenge together. Celebrate every victory side by side. Tears streamed down my face. Claire Rodriguez, you melted the ice around my heart. You taught me how to love. You showed me that vulnerability isn't weakness, it's courage. Will you marry me? I could barely speak through my tears. Yes, I managed. Yes, yes, 1,000 times yes. She slipped the ring onto my finger, and then we were kissing, both of us crying and laughing at the same time. When we finally pulled apart, she pressed her forehead to mine. I love you so much, she whispered. I love you too, I whispered back. You saved my life, Raven. And then you gave me a reason to live it. We stood there on the balcony, holding each other as snow began to fall, gentle flakes drifting down like blessings. Snow, Raven said softly. Just like the night we met. The night everything changed, I agreed. She pulled me closer. Do you remember what I thought when I first saw you lying there? That I was just another drunk person? She laughed. After that, when I realized you were dying, something in me just knew that if I walked away, I'd be leaving behind something important. I didn't understand it then, but I do now. What do you understand? That fate brought me to you that night. That out of all the people in Chicago, all the streets I could have walked down, all the moments I could have left the hospital, I was there at that exact moment to find you. To save you. And in saving you, to save myself. My heart felt so full it might burst. I used to think I came to America to chase a dream, I said. But now I know I came here to find you. To find us. To find home, she whispered. Yes, I agreed, looking into her eyes. Home. 1 year later, on a snowy December evening, Raven and I stood before our closest friends and family in a small, intimate ceremony. Victoria Sterling sat in the front row, wiping tears from her eyes. My mother had flown in from the Philippines, wearing a dress Raven had bought for her, beaming with pride. Jessica was there, along with several staff members from the clinic who'd become real friends. Even the nurse who'd brought me the bill that first morning had come, telling me she'd known from the beginning that something special was happening. But the only person I really saw was Raven. She stood across from me in a white suit, her dark hair styled elegantly, her eyes full of love and promise. When the officiant asked if we had vows, she took my hands. Claire, she began, her voice steady despite the emotion in her eyes. A year and a half ago, I found you dying in the snow. I thought I was saving your life. But the truth is, you saved mine. You taught me that love isn't something to fear, it's something to fight for. You showed me that walls don't protect us, they isolate us. You gave me the courage to be vulnerable, to be real, to be fully alive. She squeezed my hands. I promise to love you through every season, through the snow and the spring, through the challenges and the celebrations. I promise to protect your dreams the way you've protected my heart. I promise to stand beside you, not above you or behind you, but beside you as your equal partner in everything we face. She smiled through her tears. You melted the ice around my heart, Claire. Now let me spend the rest of my life keeping you warm. I was crying openly now, but I managed to speak my own vows. Raven, when I collapsed in that snow, I thought my story was ending. I didn't know it was just beginning. You didn't just save my life, you gave me a life worth living. You saw me when I felt invisible. You valued me when I felt worthless. You loved me when I thought I was unlovable. I took a shaky breath. I promise to be brave with you, to face every storm together. I promise to remind you every day that love isn't weakness, it's the greatest strength we have. I promise to be your home, the way you've become mine. And I promise to love you not in spite of our differences, but because of them. Because our two worlds coming together created something neither of us could have built alone. I smiled through my tears. You taught me that love always finds a way. Now let me spend forever proving you right. When the officiant pronounced us married, and Raven kissed me as snow fell gently outside the windows, I heard the applause and cheers of everyone we loved. But more than that, I felt it. The rightness of this moment. The perfection of this love. Two women from different worlds, brought together by fate, tested by judgment, strengthened by adversity, and bound together by a love that refused to be denied. So that's our story. The complete story of how the Ice Queen melted, and how a girl dying in the snow found her home. People still ask me sometimes if it was worth it. The judgment, the scrutiny, the challenges of bridging two different worlds, and I always give them the same answer. Every moment, every struggle, every tear. It was all worth it. To find a love this real. Raven and I have been married for 2 years now. I graduated top of my class and now work at the clinic not as someone paying off a debt, but as a counselor helping other international students navigate the healthcare system. Raven expanded the Claire Rodriguez Foundation, and we've helped hundreds of students get the care and support they need. Victoria Sterling. She's become one of my biggest supporters. She still has her moments of stubbornness, but she loves fiercely, and now that love includes me. She tells people I'm the daughter she never knew she wanted. My mother visits us every few months. She and Raven have become close, bonding over their shared desire to take care of me even though I keep insisting I can take care of myself. The media stopped writing about us once they realized we were just happy. Boringly. Consistently. Beautifully happy. Turns out that doesn't make good headlines. But here's what I want you to know. Whoever you are watching this, love will find you in the most unexpected places. In the snow, in the struggle, in the moments when you think you're at your lowest. It will find you, and it will ask you to be brave. Be brave. Be brave enough to love someone even when the world says you don't belong together. Be brave enough to fight for what matters. Be brave enough to believe that you deserve a love story, no matter where you come from or what you have. Because I was just a poor student dying in the snow, and she was a billionaire doctor who'd rejected everyone. But love didn't care about our differences. Love saw two hearts that needed each other, two souls that fit together perfectly, two people who were brave enough to choose each other even when it was hard. If we can make it work, so can you. Your love story is out there, waiting. In the most unexpected place, with the most unexpected person. Don't give up on it. Don't let fear or judgment or circumstances convince you that you don't deserve it. You do. We all do. This is Claire Rodriguez Sterling. And this was our complete story, the story of how love conquered everything, even the coldest winter and the highest walls. Thank you for being part of our journey. If this story gave you hope, inspired you, or made you believe in love again, please like this video, subscribe to Love Beyond Rules, and share it with someone who needs to hear that impossible love is possible. Comment below and tell me, what's the most unexpected place you've found love? Or where do you hope to find it? Remember, love doesn't look at your bank account, your background, or your circumstances. Love looks at hearts, and hearts know no boundaries. Until next time, stay brave, stay hopeful, and remember, love always finds a way.